Welcome to Chatsunami, a Scottish variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interest. Join me, your host, Satsunami, as well as the rest of our Chatsunami team for our takes on these very important pop culture topics.
Sir, it's clearly a trap. I accept your fate!
That happens 3 times in the film. Like, every time that general goes, don't do this one thing, he goes, do you know what I'm gonna do? That's the exact
It does as well. She had the pointy teeth. What was that about?
She looked like Bilbo when he wants the ring back.
She did, didn't she? I just want the lightsaber one more time.
Parasite says, no, you will get back into your office and work.
No, says the man in Zoom. Yeah. Trousers are for the working man.
You're bursting into your hotel room. Honey, we need to go.
Leave the kids. You can milk an oddish. Oh!
That's the worst thing you've ever said in any of the episodes.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out at our website, chatsunami.com, as well as all good podcast apps. As always, stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay hydrated.
Stay classy and have a banana. This has been Satsunami.
I'm sorry. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Chatsu Cafe. My name's Satsunami and joining me with his beverage of choice is none other than the one and only Andrew. Andrew, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be back onto Chatsu Cafe for another chill experience of Sunday that just kind of stays there. I think last time we did this, I could see your panda hands just doing stuff and I was like, stop that. It's creeping me out.
Yeah, I was the only one who had the model that was moving, like that episode of The Simpsons. No. Only I may move. We are indeed back in the cafe, as you said, with our PNG beverages of choice here. And yeah, we're just here for, what is it the kids call it? The cozy vibes? Or is that way too outdated now?
Yeah, if you start a sentence with, as the kids say, it's definitely probably like 5 years outdated.
Probably. This is honestly quite a special episode because we are just hot off the heels of announcing that we reached 100,000 plays with the podcast. So this is why we're celebrating with a thing of coffee. I was about to say a bottle of coffee, but that is not right, is it?
No, do I still have my Sunday milkshake thing going on? What's my beverage next to me?
I actually have no idea. I was going to say it's been that long since I've seen that picture.
You should just keep changing it, like Dragon Ball. Now it's beer. Now it's orange juice.
Ah, yeah, the 4-Kids special. That's it. I'll add it to the board.
I'm enjoying a jelly donut.
That looks very rice ball-esque over there. So, out of curiosity, how did you feel hearing that we finally reached 100,000 plays? Because I know you must have been annoyed when I kept pestering you saying, look, we're at 9997, we're at 9998 and everything. So yeah, how did you feel about that?
Oh, it was so exciting. I was really, really pleased for the podcast and especially for you for all the hard work that you've put into it. I mean, to be part of it as well is such an honor that I've had as many people as I have. Obviously not the full 100,000 or for the ones that I'm on, but certainly a number of people have listened to the podcast that we've done together, and that's a huge honor. It was a wonderful feeling to see that we broke the 100,000 mark.
This whole podcasting journey has been absolutely fantastic. As I was saying in the 100,000 episodes that I did with Martin McAllister, because we went through every season, we looked at different episodes and such, and it is amazing to see how the listens are distributed throughout the seasons. You know, it's like a lot of the first couple of seasons, they're very popular, it seems, in terms of the listens, except for the K-pop Demon Hunter episode, which Martin was quick to tell me that he wasn't happy that he didn't get to do that episode.
Oh, me too. I was quick on the K-pop Demon train last summer, and so when I was not included in the K-pop Demon Hunters episode, I was very insulted.
You said it, he said it, and then it was like, is there anybody who doesn't want to do this episode? The amount of people who are like, yeah, I want to do it. And I mean, rightfully so, because is it next year, am I right in saying that it's so popular that it's getting a sequel?
It's certainly getting a sequel. I think that they are taking a fair bit of time for the creation of it, because I think it's Sony Animation Studios. They're notorious for their animation taking quite a long time. I mean, Spider-Verse for a big example of that. And so I can see that it might be past 2027. We might be looking at 2028 for when it actually comes out.
Yeah, I honestly keep forgetting about the Spider-Verse sequels because, yeah, it's been so damn long. I mean, I think we're going to get, is it the live action spider noir series that's coming out.
Yeah, there'll be a spider noir show with Nicolas Cage soonish. I don't know what the exact date of that will be.
Gesture generically like, yeah, it'll come out
In May.
Oh, is it May?
Yeah, May 27th.
Oh, wow. That's actually a lot sooner than I thought it would be. Are you going to watch it, do you think?
I guess I'll check it out. I'm not that interested in it, to be honest, but it might be interesting. Beyond the Spider-Verse is scheduled for June of 2027. So I would be surprised if Sony Animation have both projects coming out the same year. I would think that they would probably, there'll likely be different teams working on them, so it's possible they can get both animated films out in the same year, but I would not be surprised if K-Pop Demon Hunters 2 comes out in 2028.
Did Sony Animations not make a film about a basketball playing goat or something recently?
Yeah, it's called Goat. I think it was about Stephen Curry. It might not have been about him. It might have just been because he voices the main character. He was one of the producers.
Funny enough, was there not another film, see with, it wasn't Sony Animation, but remember it was Pharrell Williams and he had like a biopic.
Lego.
Yeah, with Lego. Whatever happened to that? Did that come out?
Yeah, it came out and no one cared.
Oh, wow. That's depressing. That is indeed not happy.
Well, yeah, very good. It's like A Better Man, that Robbie Williams movie where he's portrayed as a monkey.
Oh, that is so good, that film, though.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, no.
I've not seen it yet. I really want to. So I haven't had the chance to.
Yeah, because my partner and I watched it. Oh, God, it was definitely sometime last year. But it's one of those films that, you know, when and again, this is the elevator pitch for it, that people say, oh, it's not what you expected. It's Robbie Williams as a monkey. And you think, all right, is this going to be silly or whatnot? And then you actually sit down and watch it, and it's surprisingly heartfelt, because I remember he was on Graham Norton, the talk show over here, and he was saying how, I think it was his producer or something like that, or his agent, someone asked him, if you could have any animal portray you, what would it be? And I think he said something like, oh, it would be a lion. And the guy looked at him and went, no, try again, Robbie. And he went, a monkey? And they went, yeah, okay, that's better. But no, it is. It's honestly a fantastic film. The amount of films, genuinely, I've just been adding to the list that we should be reviewing, because I know that one's relatively old, but actually the other film I saw, I don't know if you've seen this as well, see the I Swear film?
Is that the one with the guy with Tourette's?
Yeah, that's the one. That is an emotional roller coaster of a film.
Yeah, I bet.
I genuinely could not recommend that film more. It is heartbreaking, it is hilarious, genuinely controversy of what happened at the BAFTAs aside. It's just one of these films that you sit there thinking, oh, it's going to be like, you know those, I don't want to say generic, but you know those British comedies that they take a true story and then they just make it a light-hearted adventure, and then it's like, all right, this is an inoffensive film, there's not much in it, but with this one, yeah, just honestly, it blindsides you every single time. And it wasn't great because my girlfriend and I were watching it at the same time, and there were moments in it where she started tearing up at it, and then that set me off, and I was just like, yeah, no, we are not making it through this film with a dry eye. Would wholeheartedly recommend it. But did you manage to see that one yet?
No, I've not seen that one. I mean, I may do at some point, but it's not one I've necessarily thought too much about. I didn't even realize it had come out until I had heard about the BAFTAs incident, so that was what brought it to light to me.
Yeah, I have to say, I was the same. I think I had heard about it before the terrible incident at the BAFTAs, but I did hear about it, but I wasn't really that interested in it. And it wasn't until, and this is terrible to say, but it came on Netflix, and I was like, all right, there's that film about the guy with Tourette's and everything. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it at some point. And then one day I was visiting my family, and they were just like, have you seen that I Swear film? It is so good, you know, you have to watch it, blah, blah, blah. And then we thought, all right, let's put it on. This will be, like, I didn't expect it to be a feel-good film, but I thought, you know, let's put it on. I'm sure it'll be, you know, just a fine film to put on in the background. And yeah, we were hooked from start to finish, honestly. I would honestly wholeheartedly recommend it, because it is such an important film as well to open the dialogue about Tourette's. But out of curiosity, have you been watching anything else recently?
We've been watching a few different things. Just last night, actually, I managed to finally, after 10 years, convince my partner to watch Life is Beautiful, or La Vita Belle in the original title, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it came out in 1997, but it's an Italian film set during World War II. And essentially, it's kind of a semi-comedic film, but it's also set during the Holocaust. And so it's a Jewish man and his family get taken to a concentration camp, and he's trying to make it so that it does not seem this terrible situation for his son. He essentially kind of hides the reality of what's happening from his son throughout the experience. It is an absolutely beautiful film, and It's really, really tough. I knew what was going to happen. I've seen it before, but of course I was in tears. My wife, who had very basic kind of understanding of what it might be about, was distraught. I don't think I've ever seen her cry at a film as much as I did when we were watching it last night. And then her sister was also watching it with us, and her sister turned to her and said, "Did he warn you what this was going to be about?" And she's like a little bit. She's like, "Because I didn't get any warning about this." She was like, "That was messed up. Why did you do that?"
I mean, to be fair, it is a good film. Although I do have a vivid memory of you giving me the DVD
Of
in
course.
university, as was tradition at the time.
Yes.
Where I'd say, I haven't seen this film or whatever, and then you would just turn up and knock the door. But I remember for that one in particular, and I don't know if I've ever confessed this to you, I'm sure I must have at the time, but I remember you gave me the DVD and I started it. You know how the intro is relatively, from what I remember, it's relatively upbeat and everything, and he's very jovial and things?
Yes.
So the DVD cut out at that point and froze. So I was sitting there like, wow, what a cheerful, upbeat film this is. I don't have to watch any more, that's fine. He's absolutely fine, he lives happily ever after. In all seriousness, as you said, it's a beautiful film.
So did you get to watch the rest of it?
Not at the time, no.
Oh, okay.
How was it? Yeah, good. I'm so sorry. I hope you've still got the DVD, by the way. It wasn't my fault, that's all I'm saying.
Was it one I lent to you rather than...
Oh no, lent to me, yeah.
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
a Shawshank. You didn't buy me it for my birthday.
I assumed that was probably the case, to be honest. There was a big mixer, because I think I lent you Game of Thrones one time, and there's like quite a few different ones like that.
Yeah, no, you didn't lend me Game of Thrones. You lent me 3 seasons of Game of Thrones at the time.
Yeah.
I remember the box set appeared. There was the Avatar one. Although you didn't give me the DVD for it, the funniest one I still remember from university was when you were saying, oh, you should really watch How to Train Your Dragon. Do you remember this one?
Vaguely.
Yeah, so I can't remember why, but I must have pulled an all-nighter or something for an essay. I was just really tired. And I remember watching it, and then I fell asleep at the end. And I kind of woke up at the end like, oh, right, okay, spoilers, he defeats the bad dragon and everything. And I remember you and I went to watch the second film. Before that, actually, because it's one of your favourite films, of course, and your partner's favourite film, that you were like, oh, how did you find it? It's great, wasn't it? And I was really embarrassed to admit that I'd fell asleep at it, because I didn't want you to think that I was saying, no, it's a terrible film, because it's not. But I was like, yeah, no, it's great, and oh, it's fantastic, and blah, blah, blah. And then we went to watch the second film, and at the very beginning, again, spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, but it begins with Huggett losing, is it his leg?
Yeah, the end of the first film, he loses his leg and has like a prosthetic limb.
It was me asking you, I went, when did that happen? And I remember the look in your face of like confusion and shock. You just went, what do you mean? You were like, did you watch this film? And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I fell asleep at the end. I just didn't have the heart to tell you. And again, they are fantastic films, and I did go back and rewatch them because my partner as well, she loves them. But yeah, it was just that moment in uni. I totally let it slip. So retroactively, I apologise, Andrew.
Okay. I still feel guilty about this, where during my third year, you had already graduated from university, but you would occasionally come back to come hang out with me. You'd spend the night over at my place. But like, it always lined up when you visited with when I had just done like an all-nighter for an essay deadline. So you would come to hang out with me, and we'd put on like a film, and I would just fall asleep while you'd purposely traveled over to come out. And we put like Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner on.
You did not like that film.
I fell asleep. It was so boring. I was young at the time. Maybe I would appreciate it more now. I've not tried to, but like maybe I'd appreciate it more now. But I was so tired, and I just was not vibing with that film, and so I just fell asleep. I'm pretty sure I did that with another film. And I remember at one point I woke up while you were in there, and I'd had some sort of dream about Pokemon or something, because I woke up and I was like, you don't have badges to train me.
Are you okay?
You were so puzzled. I remember it was at the time.
Oh, they were some of the best nights, though, to be fair.
That was when we went down that rabbit hole of Duolingo as well.
That's when we went down the Esperanto rabbit hole.
Oh, sorry, Esperanto. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up wanting to learn Esperanto at that time, because I was telling you about a particular class that I was doing about, I think it was Shintoism and the colonial impacts of Portugal and Japan. It went from that to this rabbit hole, and then we were like, oh, what's what's Esperanto?
Well, I remember we knew that kanji was the Japanese letters, and we were wondering what it was called for the English word. That's when we learned romanji, the term romanji.
Yeah.
And then we kind of kept going to this rabbit hole on like Wikipedia, I guess, for languages. And then we ended up finding out about the existence of Esperanto. And we were like, what is this? And so we just kept looking more and more into Esperanto and just started learning Esperanto.
Saluton, Andrew.
For a good, like, I'm going to say like 2 or 3 months, I kept up with Esperanto. I was convinced this is it. My dad still makes fun of me for this. He's still like, remember when you tried to learn this language? And I'm like, it's the future. You don't understand. Eventually I came to my senses and was like, there's no point learning this. But you kept going for another like 4 months.
You never told me. You never came to the Esperanto meetup.
You're like, Andrew, I'm rated gold on Esperanto now. Why does it say you haven't been on here for the last 3 months?
Oh, that makes me sound obsessive. Like, Andrew, where is your Esperanto?
Conjugate now.
Say saluton, Andrew. God, those were the days. Ordering Domino's, falling asleep at Blade Runner and learning Esperanto. You know, some people go out clubbing, not us.
Going back to what we were talking about before, what have I been watching?
Have you been watching Blade Runner, Andrew?
No, I've not, in fact, been watching Blade Runner. I have, though, been watching Invincible.
Oh, yeah.
The new season that came out last week, and we're now 4 episodes in. Have you been keeping up with that?
Yeah, so as of this episode, yeah, the first 4 episodes of season 4 have come out, and yeah, they've been good. I think they've been better than the last season, except for the last episode where it just kind of felt like a filler episode, without spoiling it too much. But, you know, if you're worried about spoilers, feel free to skip ahead a couple of minutes. But yeah, it felt like a kind of nothing episode. Invincible goes to hell, and they have a very r/atheism talk about, ooh, good and evil, oh, it's judged by you, and you're like, I could have done without the filler episode. This isn't Dragon Ball Z where you can afford a filler episode here.
See, I'm conflicted with it, because, like,
Yeah.
it certainly did feel kind of fillery. There was some level of character moments of him learning, because he's been going through this emo crisis of, is it okay that I killed bad people? Or in some cases, killed people for the greater good.
The greater good.
Because he killed an innocent person who was under the control of someone else, and the only way to stop what was about to happen from happening was to kill this innocent person. And so he's very conflicted about that, and he's then found himself being more aggressive in his dealing with other people, and he's worried that he's going down like a rocky path and going to end up like Omni-Man. And so he's kind of having this inner conflict. And one thing I'll say, though, is it seems like each episode recently has just been people being like, it was okay you did that, and him being like, I don't know. And then it seems like he's kind of come to terms with it, but then he's not, which is fair. That's what psychology is like. Just because you've had a good talk from someone doesn't mean you've gone over your mental situation. So I can understand. And there was some good messages in the episode from Damien Darkblood about what he had to do, and the important thing about being a good person is do good in the world, and that humans are inherently good, and you just need kind of a push, and you don't need an outside factor motivating you. I enjoy that. I know it does go very kind of anti-religious message in many ways, which will rub people the wrong way, but I did find it to be an interesting one. There was a lot of animation cheats that I noticed through the episode of them falling down the bottomless cavern, and just kind of kept us replaying the same kind of shot over and over again. And I was like, this is just killing a lot of time with characters having dialogue while not needing them to move or the background behind them to change in any kind of way. And that went on for a long time. I felt like that could have been tidied up. Like the whole thing about the helmet went on for a very long time.
That felt very MCU humour, where it was just like, oh, why do you wear the helmet? And I was like, I actually skipped ahead and he was still going, and I was like, Jesus Christ, how much do you have to say about this helmet? Honestly, see that? Why do you do that? Do what? Oh, why do you take off the helmet? Do you think I can hear you with the helmet on? And it's like, yeah, cut it there, that's fine. But then they kept going, and people online were saying things like, oh, but it's a clever meta commentary of the MCU and blah blah blah. Yeah, but again, you could have concisely made that point in half the time. It was the same with, I think it was episode 2, I want to say, where they have this weird Star Trek parody as well.
Oh, you're talking about like the sex thing they kept bringing back, Alan the alien and what's her face?
Yeah, that person.
Yeah, and his partner.
And the rest. But I kind of thought, right, okay, that's the Invincible level of humour. Okay, fair enough. But the whole Star Trek thing, that was really weird, because it was like, oh, haha, they're making fun of Star Trek, but they're not really saying anything about it. It's the same problem with episode episode 4, where it's like they'll make fun of something, but the joke is, haha, it's in the show. And again, I don't know if it's in the comics and they make fun of it in there or whatever, but you're just kind of like, all right, okay. So it's like we're taking time away from talking about, because I really like the episodes where they flash back to what Viltrum, Omni-Man's planet, was like, and then they talk about the Scourge virus and everything. That was horrific. But then this is Invincible in a nutshell. It's like you can't have a serious scene without somebody making a joke after it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you have practically a genocide of this planet, despite the fact that they themselves are conquerors and everything and horrible, horrible people. But it's a horrific event. And then you've got Seth Rogen going, well, that happened. And you're like, I don't like you. I'm going to be honest. I like the character, but I just think, can you not? Jesus Christ. I thought he was in the room with us for a second. I was like, oh God, lock the door. His whole sense of humour, his being annoys me, to be honest. I semi-tolerate him as Donkey Kong, but that's about it. That is the line, the red line. But yeah, maybe we should do an Invincible episode at some point in the future, because I've got a lot of thoughts. That's all.
Maybe once the season is wrapped up, we'll do a kind of introspection of the season so far, or either the season or the whole series.
Yeah, because from what I've seen of the, I don't want to say spoilers, because to be honest, the comic's been going on for years and I've practically been spoiled by how is Invincible gonna wrap up this when character X dies, and you're like, oh, you bastard. And then you're like, you know what, I know what happens, I'm gonna read ahead.
The only major spoiler that I learned was about Rex.
Yeah.
And also, I think I learned about what's happening with Adam and Eve right now. I think I saw a spoiler about that.
Because there's some moments where I wonder how they're going to adapt that into the show, and then other bits where I'm like, I hope to God they don't adapt that into the show, but I just know they're going to do it. And especially with the fans as well. Do you know what it reminds me of? It's like, you know, the Rick and Morty fans from the early days?
Yeah.
Screaming the same joke over and over. Like instead of Pickle Rick, you've got Cecil or Cecil, whatever that joke was, and the Mark, we can be bees. It's funny the first time you hear it, but then when you get 1,000 Redditors yelling it in your ear, you're like, okay, it's getting old, guys, come on. It's like, come on, tone it down. But yeah, before I get attacked by the Invincible stands, yeah, have you been watching anything else?
Just started the new season of Daredevil that came out at a similar time. It's interesting. I wasn't fully paying attention to it, to be honest. I think I need to kind of get re-involved with it. I really enjoyed the season 1 reboot, one that Disney Plus has brought out, but I'll try and get more involved maybe for the next episode. My partner and I have been watching season 1 of The Pitt. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
You know, funny enough, I haven't watched it personally, but a friend of the podcast, Marianne from the Cold Case Kansas podcast, talks about that quite a lot. Whenever I'm scrolling through threads or whatever, she's always posting about The Pitt and everything. I'm like, it must be a really popular show, and that probably is an understatement. It's like saying The Bear is a popular show.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not one for like a procedural type show generally. Like I don't really care about cop shows or hospital shows very much, but it's really interesting. And I thought, oh, my parents will really like this. And I tried to find how they can watch it, and it's not even actually available in the UK.
Is it no?
No, as far as I can tell, it's not available. I might be incorrect in that, but I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it wasn't. Season 2 is already either fully out or ongoing, so we're just catching up on season 1 right now. But as far as I'm aware, it's not available for people in the UK to watch it. It's really interesting because essentially it takes place over one shift, one day. So each episode is about an hour of a shift in this emergency room of this hospital in Pittsburgh and what they're dealing with. And so you have recurring storylines from one episode to another, because obviously people are in this area for hours at a time. And so you'll come back to a family that have their father on deathbed and a kid who's OD'd, and the parents are trying to run through all these different tests, people who have come in with injuries from a car crash and all these different kind of things. Kind of just mainly focusing on the main doctor of the hospital area, what he's dealing with, like his own kind of emotional state, and then the different residents are there. And then it's a teaching hospital, so you have these 3 students and like what they're dealing with on their first day. And it's really, really interesting. I've not seen any show like this, and especially not seen like a hospital show like this. It's kind of like, it reminds me of, do you remember 24?
Do you know, I was just about to say that 24 meets Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, I mean, it is better than both 24 and Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, careful now.
Because my wife loves Grey's Anatomy and I loathe it.
Is it that bad? I've never seen it either.
It's so... She loves it, and her family loves it, but I just think it's such crap. Everyone on that show should be fired for medical malpractice. They're also annoying. And 24 came out when I was very young, so I just remember the jokes about it. I remember the Simpson episodes that parodied it better than 24 itself.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Because they also parodied The Pitt, apparently. I think it was the 800th episode, and that was a really weird episode.
The Santa's Little Helper one, yeah, because it was like a veterinary hospital. Because we had just started watching one, maybe two episodes of The Pitt, and then we watched that episode, and we were like, oh my god, this is a reference to The Pitt.
Yeah. In social media, they were going, oh my god, it's a Pitt reference. And obviously I've not seen it, so I wouldn't have got it, but genuinely, if you showed me that and didn't tell me it was a reference, I would have just been like, oh right, is this a callback to... Because I really miss, and this is just such a weird callback, but do you remember the vet from, I don't know, season 3 or 4 maybe from The Simpsons?
He throws the hamster into the
basketball hoop. I love that. This is a part of the job I hate. Just so good. Oh, cackle every time. It's a shame he wasn't in it, but I get why. You know, it's a Pitt thing. But speaking of medical shows, one of the ones that I've actually been watching recently, and I'm really surprised at how good it still is the Scrubs revival.
Really? It's been good?
Yeah, I was really shocked because, I mean, do you remember what happened around season 7, 8 time? There was the writer's strike in Scrubs, and the episodes went from, oh my god, these are brilliant, they're really heartfelt, but also comedic. And then they took an absolute nosedive. And then I was like, yeah, no, this is rubbish. And then they had that weird
teaching school one, yeah. Because if you watch it on, I think it's Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's not like a separate show. Like it continues, just becomes that teaching school one.
Yeah.
I did a rewatch with my wife, and she'd never seen Scrubs before, and she really, really enjoyed it. But I wonder, I was like, and she could tell because of how bad the episodes were becoming at that point as well, when you had the new characters being introduced, that I was like, it's going to get much worse, and we're going to go off to a teaching school, a bunch of characters we don't see anymore, and that kind of stuff.
I don't think I even finished that season, to be honest.
I don't remember if I did or not.
I think I watched the first episode maybe, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I didn't even like season 8, to be honest.
Was Dave Franco in the school one or in the later seasons of the not school one?
It might have been the school one, but I honestly can't remember. There were so many characters that they introduced, and I've heard people say, oh, they like those interns and they like these characters. It didn't hit the same for me. And again, that's, you know, the risk of a long-running comedy show and everything, especially the amount of episodes that are in each season. I mean, not as much as Chatsunami, of course, 50 a season, but, you know, one day that would be the case. I mean, it was bound to happen, but it's still an absolutely fantastic show. But the revival, I wouldn't say it's as great as, you know, the golden era of it. I'll have to rewatch the whole thing before we do an episode on it, but honestly, it is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And genuinely, I kind of sat there thinking, wow. I mean, granted, there's some annoying bits, like there's an English doctor who keeps bringing up about how terrible the American healthcare system is. And it's, you know, that way it's like, yeah, we get it. That's the whole point of the show, to show they're treating these patients despite these conditions. Oh, did you know that we have the NHS and I can't do this? And you're like, oh, I get it.
Why are your schools like Call of Duty?
Pretty much. I'm not gonna lie. There's another weird bit where he phones someone's insurance company, and apparently it's implied that he calls them the C word. And, you know, it's like, oh, I don't know how they do it across the pond, but over here, we don't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay. Right, okay. This is a tone we're setting. But again, see, despite that, what is really surprising is just how it still feels, despite the minor flaws, it still feels relatively heartfelt, and it still has that comedic tone. But also what's really depressing is, see, when you watch the early seasons and you see how young they look and how young they are, and obviously they lean into that and they joke about it, that, oh, they're not as young as they used to be, but man, it's depressing. Obviously it's not a fault of the actors themselves, because some of them genuinely do look incredible after all this time. But yeah, I would honestly recommend it. I can't believe I'm saying that about Scrubs after all those years, but I genuinely would recommend it, because it is worth the watch. There is one major thing that I really don't like about it, but again, I'll save that for an episode. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out then. We have been meaning to watch it, and we have been meaning to watch the new season, the live action One Piece as well.
Oh yeah, I've only watched a couple of episodes of that, but it's actually not been too bad.
Of season 2?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes, and again, I fell asleep, not because it was bad, but it was a long day. I'm gonna be honest, it was a long day, and I was like, yeah, I'm not in the headspace to be watching One Piece, and yeah, it is still good though. It is a lot of fun. I would say we'll have to do a One Piece retrospective, but I am gonna have to go to BBC iPlayer and just watch the whole thing. Did you know that BBC have the rights to broadcast it now?
Oh, it's the live action Netflix One Piece.
Oh no, the actual anime.
Oh, the anime.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think they've got all 1,000 episodes. I could totally be wrong, but yeah, for some reason, yeah, you can stream it from BBC iPlayer, and that's not a plug or a ad or anything. Genuinely, it confuses me as much as it does everybody else. I'm like, BBC? Really? Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I'll get to watching, and maybe we can do a retrospective in 2050, maybe.
You should get one of those things that tell you what episodes to watch to avoid the filler.
I have to admit, I do love I think it's like TikToks and Reels and things where it's like, what would happen if X was paced like a One Piece episode? And it's, the music is like dun, 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 dun. And it's them making a sandwich, but it's just repeating over and over again, them putting on the bun. Oh, it's so stupid, but at the same time, it's just so bloody funny.
There was a project called like One Pace or something like that. It was going to be like a fan-made thing of cutting out all the various filler to make it more watchable. I've never watched it, but I remember people talking about it at the time. And they're going to do essentially a reboot of the entire show in a different kind of animation format, different animation studio, just telling the story in a much kind of more brief way. I guess it's not dissimilar to live action, but just like slightly different from that. I don't know where we're at with that, if that's still happening or not, because I've not heard any updates about it, but that would be interesting to see if they do end up doing that, because it is unfortunately such a mountain to climb for anyone who wants to get into it now. Mind you, there's so many flashbacks at any given moment that if you just jumped into the series now, you could probably catch up just by continuing to watch the show as it goes on, because it'll just be like, remember when this happened? And it'll just tell you, like, there'll be an episode that just flashes back to X thing, because there's been a hiatus for the last like few months actually, but there'd often be an episode that'd be like solely dedicated to, here's the context for what you're about to see, here's all the stuff that happened with these guys, and I'd be like, I've already seen this, I don't care, and I just don't watch that episode. But for someone such as yourself who's not seen it, if you wanted to just get into One Piece just from where we are now, you could probably do so.
I mean, that's fair, to be honest. I'll have to add it to the list and just power through it. And that is totally not a segue to tell you that the other film that I watched, and I don't know how to feel about that, speaking of powering through, was that Wicked for Good, which finally came out. As in, came out to hire, not to cinemas, because I definitely missed the boat for that. But yeah, it's all right. I mean,
I'm not a big fan.
I like the musical, although I do think it goes on for a wee bit at times. It's like, we get it, the Wizard of Oz is evil. It's like, come on, wrap it up, Elphaba. But yeah, did you see it?
I've not seen the second one, no, because I watched the first one, because we have our beautiful baby boy now. I was in charge of making sure there was someone to watch him while my wife and her sister went off to watch the second one. So they did go and watch that back when it came out, I want to say like November, and they really enjoyed it. So all good for them, but I just don't have much desire to watch it.
Yeah, because I think the only reason we watched it, I was down visiting family and we saw it was available for hire, and we thought, oh, you know what, let's give it a go. Although I've seen the musical and everything, I haven't seen the first part of it. I've seen the second part, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I'm sure I'll catch up. And it just literally begins with the Wicked Witch of the West just blowing up the road and everything. And you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun film. Yeah, it's good, but yeah, probably not my cup of tea.
That's fair enough. I saw the musical on the West End, Dean, 20 years ago. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but I was never super into the movie adaptations of it. It was nice enough. It was fun. I enjoyed that people had got enjoyment from it. That's nice. I just didn't really care. The last film I actually saw at the cinema was Avatar: Fire and Ash back in December, and that was really good. I know a lot of people are very mixed on that. I had a good time with it. Avatar for me is the biggest popcorn flick. I know that I'm not watching a fantastic story. Arguably, it's a lot of rehash from what we just saw in the second one, but I had popcorn, I had a drink, I had 3 hours to kill, and it was a nice watch. I had fun. That was fun. Tomorrow, actually, at the time of recording this, we're planning to go see Project Hail Mary.
Oh, I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, so I've heard some really good things about that. My wife's parents had just seen it, and they said it was so good. You guys will have to see it. I was like, it's a bit tricky with the baby, and they said, we'll look after him if you guys come tomorrow and you can go to the cinema. So all right, fair enough. The plan is to drop little one off with them, head out to the cinema to watch that, and then come back and hang out with them for a little bit before going home. So that'll be a fun time. Hopefully it's as good as people say.
Because I think Martin's seen that as well. The only reason I found out, ironically enough, was I was scrolling through, I think it was Instagram, and he had posted one of his workout videos, and it was just like the Project Hail Mary music in the background, and he was saying how it was like a great film and everything. I was like, I had no idea you went to see that. I was like, fair enough, but I heard people talking about it, saying it was a great book and everything, and despite spoiling the twist of it a bit early, which I've also heard, that, yeah, regardless, it seems to really be taking everyone by storm. So, yeah, I'll really be interested to see what you think of it, and then I'll have to get my backside to the theatre, because I can't remember the last time I was at the cinema. In fact, the last time I was at the cinema might have genuinely been when I went to see GoldenEye, and I don't mean in 1995, I mean when they had their 30th anniversary at one of the local cinemas, and I was like, yeah, so me and my dad went to see it. It was cool. It was really amazing to watch it on the big screen, but I genuinely think that might have been the last film, because I honestly haven't been in a good while.
Well, I'm looking forward to us doing an episode on The Devil Wears Prada 2, so you'll have to get out to the cinema for that.
Oh, of course. Let me just get Miss Tsunami on the phone. Because the last film I think that her and I saw was Sonic 3, so...
You already know how to treat her, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You told me we were going to see The Devil Wears Prada too. Yeah, well, I say a lot of things.
Yeah, instead of watching The Mandalorian and Grogu, so buckle in.
Oh, God. I forgot that was coming out.
I think that's coming out the same month. I think they're both coming out in May.
Oh, yeah, so they... Is this the new Barbenheimer? Grogenheimer?
The Grogu Wears Prada.
You know what? Someone will make it happen. No doubt. And if you're listening, Disney, give me a cut of the money, for God's sake. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, yeah, because I've written down a couple. I completely forgot that I watched the new part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, yeah. Steel Ball Run, yes. I remember there was a lot of hype for that one. It was going to be the year of JoJo.
So this is the weirdest thing ever. I don't know if you've seen the discourse around this, but
no.
Genuinely, for some reason, Netflix got the rights to distribute JoJo. And I remember at the time when I got into it, because I got into it during the lockdowns, I watched part 1 to 3 on Netflix. Then part 4, for some reason, they didn't have it. I don't know if it's because of licensing rights or what, but I had to go to Crunchyroll, which I think back in the lockdowns they were fine. Nowadays, maybe not so much. But yeah, I watched it there, loved it, managed to watch part 5. I remember I did all those episodes with Blowfish Man TV back in season 1, and I remember saying to him, oh, this is going to be great, you know, by the time we finish part 5, part 6 will be out, we'll be able to review it. And then they did this really weird thing where they kind of stilted the release schedule, so it was like they released it in 3 batches, but there were 3 completely random batches, like, oh, we're going to have one during Christmas, we're going to have one during the summer, and they never announced it. So then they started moaning, saying, why is nobody watching this? And it's like, well, you're not telling anybody that it's coming out. Maybe I've not got my ear to the grindstone in this one, but genuinely, I had no idea that this part was coming out. And then I saw it on Netflix, and my partner and I watched the first episode. It was like that scene from Toy Story 2, you know, with Woody going, yay, where's the next episode? And it's like, that's it. That's the only episode. It's like, yeah, they've only released episode 1, and they've not told people when the rest of it's coming out.
That's odd.
It's really weird, because then they're saying, oh, it's okay because they've got, I don't want to call it a JoJo con, but it's like some kind of TED Talk announcement thing where it's like, oh, we're going to announce when the other episodes are coming out. And it's like, well, wouldn't it have made more sense just to, you know, release the episodes? And it's like, oh, no, but production turmoil and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, Netflix has really screwed JoJo over, which is a sentence I never thought I'd be saying. But I mean, the first episode was all right. But again, if you're going to release one episode, why?
That is odd. Well, then pivoting to a different medium, what's been going on with you in video games lately?
Honestly, not too much, to be honest. Other than Resident Evil, I've been deeply spiraling into playing Resident Evil Requiem, which I can't even remember if I've been spamming you about this to be like, this game's amazing, you have to play it. But I mean, as of this episode, and I think it only took them a couple of days to actually sell sold 5 million copies. Honestly,
amazing.
yeah, this game has genuinely taken both the fandom and I think new fans as well by absolute storm. But did you hear about the controversy? Not so much around the game itself, but the AI one that was adjacent to this game.
No, I didn't hear about that.
I think it was NVIDIA, and they released, I think it's the DLSS 5 it's called, and basically it's like a big Snapchat filter. What they do is they use AI to upscale the graphics and everything, but what they were doing was essentially whenever there's a person on screen, it honestly looks like, you know, those TikTok filters where it beautifies somebody?
Sure.
So there was all the memes coming out where it was like the cartoony version, and then the DLSS 5 version was the really super realistic version of that, and everyone was just making fun of it. And I think the CEO of NVIDIA didn't help himself because he was like, gamers don't know what they want. This is the future of games. And it's like, is this why RAM's $1 million now or something? Have you heard about this controversy and
No,
things?
no, I've managed to bypass me a little bit.
It was just bizarre because it wasn't just for Resident Evil Requiem. They showed off other games like, I think, Hogwarts Legacy, Starfield as well. Bethesda seemed really into it. They're like, oh, this is the future of Starfield. And it's like, no, that game was boring. I'm sorry. But going back to the games that I've been playing, yeah, that game, I have been absolutely addicted to it. I've actually played through it 6 times just to get through all the different challenges and everything. And I did the review of it a couple of weeks ago as well, which, yeah, if you listen to this episode, definitely go check it out after this. But no, it was a fantastic time. But what about yourself? Have you been playing anything recently?
So I have once again entered my Pokemon era.
Oh, hell yeah.
Every several years, I'll say, I'll fall back down the Pokemon rabbit hole. And I think this is the furthest I've fallen down the rabbit hole in many a year. I think because it's the 30th anniversary, I was like, oh, that's cool. I was playing Pokemon Diamond a long time back. I got Pokemon Diamond for the Switch years ago. And like I'd played it, I think, to mostly completion in terms of just the storyline, but not the Pokedex, and there's other little side stuff I hadn't done. So I was like, I'll go back and I'll play a little bit of Pokemon. And I was like, this is fun. I was enjoying myself. And then I was getting more involved, and I saw that Pokemon were doing like a 30th anniversary announcement of games and other stuff that's coming out. So I put that on and I started watching it. Firstly, I saw the announcement stuff about Pokopia, which I'd already kind of heard some bits about, but I was like, oh, it looks really cool. But it was only for Switch 2. I only have Switch 1. I don't have a Switch 2. I will probably eventually get a Switch 2, but right now it's out of budget. So I was like, oh, I really, really, really want to play that, but can't right now. But they announced that they were bringing back Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch, and not just Switch 2, Switch 1 as well. And so you could buy that for the game console on there. Literally, as soon as the video finished, because then they said like, it's out now. And I was like, shit. So I grabbed my Switch, went to the e-game shop, and just immediately purchased it. And then jumped back in, put my Switch into its dock, and then had Pokemon Fire Red in full TV screen. Context, Pokemon Fire Red was my game. I played this game probably more than any other game ever as a child. But it was always on this tiny little Game Boy Advance because the DS had a little kind of cartridge thing, so I could play a little bit on the DS. But that was the largest screen that I played on. But to have it on my big TV in the living room, playing with a game controller, I was like, my eyes were wide. I was so happy. My wife and her sister, I'm thinking, it was like, it's so cute. They were not Pokemon people. And so I've been kind of introducing to them how this all works, things that I've been trying to convince them to kind of get involved. But one of the things that's been a negative for that in terms of trying to convince them is I decided I'm an adult now. I need to make this a little bit more challenging for myself. I'm going to make this a Nuzlocke run.
Oh, no.
And of course, them who've been like, oh, that's such a cute little Pokemon. And I'm like, oh, well, Larry, the Pidgey that we got is now dead, guys, and we can't use him ever again. And they're like, what do you mean? And so they were increasingly getting so enchanted by this game and then horrified when these Pokemon, I'd be like, you want to help me name them? And they're like, yeah. Houdini the Abra. Oh, Houdini evolved, is now Kadabra. Houdini's dead. Houdini's now in the box labeled RIP. And so they've been increasingly upset with how I've been playing this children's game.
I'm just envisioning you having your Omni-Man moment, like, look what you made me do, Larry.
With a fraction of my power.
What will you have in 5 levels?
So I completed the Elite Four, and I told them, now the Elite Four is complete, I will not be playing this in Nuzlocke mode anymore. And now going around just catching...
Sorry, that's the whole game?
Well, yeah, there's after-game stuff. I want to call Mewtwo, and I'm not completing the Pokedex.
No, I know, but I just find that so funny that it's like you go from hyper serious, are you sure, to, oh yeah, let's have fun with the game now. And you've traumatized your wife and your sister-in-law, just like, yeah, no, war is hell and so are Nuzlockes.
Essentially, yeah. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm trying to convince one of them to buy Leaf Green so I can complete the Pokedex and that we can sort of play together. And what's really neat about the Switch version is all the stuff that was optional, I would say like DLC, but special event type stuff back in the day is just inbuilt into the Switch version. So if you get the ferry, it gives you the option of Birth Island and something called Naval Island. And I was like, what are these? And so I traveled to Birth Island and went up this staircase and it's like this puzzle. And I'm like, the hell? And then I figured out, I was like, oh my God, this is for Deoxys. And so I've just caught Deoxys for the first time in my Fire Red playthrough. And then I went to Naval Island and it has Ho-Ho. And so I've not yet caught him, but I just caught Deoxys. Deoxys was such a bitch to catch because his defense is 25. And so any attempt of damaging him immediately killed him. No matter what I did, it just killed him. And so I was like, all right, so I can't damage him. I just have to make him sleep and spam Pokeballs at him. And so after several attempts of this, I put him to sleep and spammed a bunch of Ultra Balls. And then eventually I was like, okay, I've been here long enough. And I just got some Timer Balls recently. So I just chucked a bunch of those. And so that one of those eventually got him.
So you didn't use any quick balls?
I don't have those.
Well, I'm out of ideas.
What does a Quick Ball do again?
It's more effective the faster you use them, I think. So it's like if you use them at the beginning of a battle, they're more effective.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like cheesing it. I don't know how well they work against legendaries because I know the odds aren't as good as real legendaries like Spearow or Rattata. Which I totally did not catch with a Master Ball when we were in university together.
Well, I'll be honest, because I'm playing it on like a proper game, I've had to change my mindset as well with how I'm dealing with things, of like saving the game at certain points and then having to kind of go from there. And I was terrified. I am terrible for forgetting to save the game. And if a moment comes up where I'm like, oh shit, I have to restart this, I was so worried that I was accidentally going to throw the Master Ball at something that I didn't mean to. Well, I remember when I was a kid and I got the Master Ball and then I encountered like Zapdos and I was like, shit, Zapdos, Master Ball. And I threw the Master Ball at Zapdos. And then I didn't have it for Mewtwo and it took forever to catch him. So I saved the Master Ball. I tried to not use it on Mewtwo and try to use Ultra Ball, but it just became such a pain in the butt that I eventually just like, screw it, just threw the Master Ball. So that's what I've been playing. If you want to play Leaf Green and play with me, let me know. It's really fun.
Was this just a whole elevator pitch?
Get me my Scyther, damn you.
Jesus, I felt that through the mic there.
I've actually already got an egg with my star Pokemon. When I first started, my wife was busy and it was just her sister who was about. And so I had her pick a number of 1 to 3. And then from that, it was Charmander that I took for the starter Pokemon. And so I've got an egg now for Charmander. For whoever does get the game, I can give them a Charmander. So eventually they can then give me like a Bulbasaur and Squirtle and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, honestly, it has been, because I made a joke about it when it got announced. I don't know if you saw it on social media where I was holding up my Switch and my physical copy of Leaf Green and I was like, okay guys, how do I play this game? Yeah, because have I ever told you the story about how I found out about Leaf Green when it first came out?
Back like 20 years ago.
Yeah, because I genuinely had no idea that it had come out. I think at that point I'd kind of fallen away from Pokemon. I think the last game at the time I'd played was Pokemon Sapphire and thought, oh, this is a great game. And then I saw loads of people posting gameplay on YouTube at the time and doing their own ROM edits and whatnot. And I was like, all right, this is cool, but I've got no idea what this is. So I went about my day. And it wasn't until I went to, I want to say it was a game station. That's how long ago it was. And yeah, just saw a copy of Leaf Green and I was like, oh my God. Granted, that was a couple of years after it had come out, but I was like, oh my God, I have to play this. So yeah, I ended up getting the copy. And that was also the copy that I played my first Nuzlocke years and years ago. I got absolutely bodied in that run because, ironically enough, if you look up our Chatsu Shorts episodes, I've got a whole episode talking about my first Nuzlocke. And basically, I got to the end of the game and I practically lost all of my team except for, I think it was a Dragonite, a Kadabra, and I managed to get a shiny Primeape, which I was using the shiny claws. So I thought, you know what, sure, I'm going to throw him in. And then the Primeape ended up getting blasted by Gary's Blastoise in the final battle, which was quite dramatic.
I also lost a Primeape that I was very attached to.
Yeah, it's such a good... Honestly, that's the amazing thing about Nuzlocke. It's like you don't really get attached to these Pokemon as much, and then, you know, when you have to use them for a Nuzlocke, it becomes a new favourite. Do you remember the Tadpole Pokemon? I don't know if you've played Generation 5, have you? Black and White.
Black and White, I've not, no.
No, there was a Tadpole Pokemon called Tinepole, I think. And I remember I got that, and it evolved into, I can't even remember the name of it. Seismitoad is its last form, but it evolved into its second stage, and I called it Hoppy, and I was like, oh, this is the best Pokemon ever, I'm going to take you to the end of the game. And then it got bodied by like a random trainer in a cave, and I was so sad I had to stop playing for a couple of days, because I'm like, how am I supposed to go ahead without Hoppy?
I was also like that when I lost Houdini, and then I was like, all right, I don't know if this is the official Nuzlocke rule, but I was like, all right, if I lost a Pokemon in a particular route, I can go back to that route to find that Pokemon again. I went back to the area where I found the Abra and I got another Abra, and then just spent ages just leveling up again to try and catch that back up to where I was before.
So I've just double checked, and the name of that Pokemon is Palpitoad. So if there's any Palpitoad stands out there, let me
Fair
know.
enough.
Apparently, ironically enough, I've also got an episode on that. I just love making miserable episodes, apparently. But yeah, Nuzlockes are so much fun. Actually, out of curiosity, and speaking of Pokemon, are you going to be playing Pokemon Colosseum? Because I think that's coming out soon. Or I think it's already out, actually, on the GameCube Virtual.
No, but the GameCube Virtual Console is only available on Switch too.
Is it?
Yeah, Wind Waker came out on the GameCube Virtual Console, and I was so excited, and then I found out the GameCube Virtual Console is only available on Switch too.
I genuinely had no idea that was a thing. Wow.
I know, I was so upset. And to be honest, it's one of the main motivating factors why I want to Switch too.
You know, Nintendo is genuinely one of these companies, and for legal reasons I don't advocate for this, but it's one of those old companies, they go, why are people pirating our games? And then they make it so bloody difficult to actually get these special games when they actually do release them. Because I'm going to be honest, I remember when I was in high school and I saw people emulating N64 games. Even in university you could get emulators for GameCube games. One of my favourite images recently is like the drawing of the overweight guy with the greasy beard holding the two swords going, leave the multi-billion company alone. And it's usually used for things like when people try to defend Nintendo or things like that.
Or Disney or like Tesla or something like that.
God. Speaking of Disney, actually, did you hear about that AI thing that they finally stopped partnering themselves with? I think it's Sora. They had a partnership with the guy who made ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
This is how terminally online. I apologise. But there was this video and image making thing called Sora. But apparently Disney signed, I think it was like $1 million or $1 billion deal with this company. And the idea was that users were going to be able to take Disney characters and write in their own prompts. So it was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if Mickey Mouse said happy birthday to your wee one? Or what if Buzz Lightyear wished you happy Christmas? And it was really weird, but thankfully recently they've said that they're going to be shutting down. It was just bizarre. But yeah, it's the weird thing that they said we're backing out the deal because they're retiring Sora, but they're not closing the door on AI in Disney entirely. And you're like, remember when Disney used to be magical, man?
No, I mean, it's the way that all these film production companies are going to go, because they're the ones who look at the costs that can be cut and the time that can be cut down, the lack of human input that's required. They're all seeing it from that perspective, not from the creative or ethical integrity kind of side of things. And so that's why you always hear them talking about, like, well, this is the future, this is where it's going. It's like, well, it doesn't have to. You're the one in charge that makes that decision. If you show integrity, then it becomes the foundation for others going forward.
It's just honestly so baffling, because that's the thing. It's like, you know, when you're on Twitter and you're scrolling through and you get that one idiot who's like, oh my god, this is going to kill Hollywood, this is going to revolutionise cinema and blah blah blah, and it's the world's worst, I don't even know what it is, you know, it's like the world's worst fan fiction on display. It's like, oh look, it's Spider-Man fighting Venom and Venom has 6 fingers and he doesn't look like Venom.
I keep seeing people being like, it's getting too good, you can't even tell that this is AI, and it's like, yes you can.
I mean, granted, there are some videos that I've had to genuinely double take and go, oh wow. Again, it's like you can see it's AI, but there's some at a glance you go, oh, I don't know why that person's acting silly, and then you have to rewatch it and go, oh my god, that was AI. And that is the scary thing. But this whole thing about people saying, oh, it's going to take over, it's like, no, it's not. It's like, it's only going to take over if people actively choose to consume it.
Unfortunately, people do. Not so much in terms of that kind of media right now, because people can kind of see that it's not very well done as it is, but the kind of prominence of AI usage with the general public is just such an extent that it will become just adopted in the norm, unfortunately. You don't want that to be the fact. You want there to be people in higher up places that are preventing that from happening. But realistically, that's not going to happen. And we will see an entirely AI created movie probably in the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, 100%. They've put too much money into it to back out of it. Yeah, I kind of hate that, I'm not going to lie. Because there was the meltdown as well. I don't know if you've seen this, and hopefully not, but there was a meltdown for someone who made, I think it was a Love Island type show, but they changed the characters with human fruits or something. So it was like, oh, look, it's a woman who's a strawberry and one who's a raspberry, and they were getting millions and millions of views. And, you know, there's a whole back and forth about whether that's bot views because it was so quick to rise to prominence, if you know what I mean. And I think as of this episode, a lot of the episodes were getting mass flagged and taken down. There's one side of the internet calling it, oh, it's great that they're taking action. And on the other side, you've got people going, oh, it's the future of entertainment. And you're like, no.
I saw that someone had said that there was like a video that went viral for a little bit. That was like one of the most watched videos of all time. And it was this baby going through an airport and then ends up flying a plane. It's the most AI slop you've ever seen. And it was viewed hundreds of millions of times. And it's so depressing seeing stuff like that.
Because that's the thing as well, though. I don't know if it is actually people that are watching it. I mean, I think a huge chunk of it might be, but you wonder if on the other hand, it's like a whole bunch of bots that have just flooded to that particular video.
Yeah, potentially. What's been frustrating me, I've been seeing so many ads that are AI. The worst culprits are betting companies. Betting companies love, I mean, they're the most unethical companies around. And so they don't see any qualm with cutting corners and saving a quick back production costs and that kind of stuff. And so every single betting ad I've seen lately has been so clearly AI and really uncanny and upsetting. I'm not really a gambling person myself. I have put on a sports bet in the past. Used to do it semi-regularly years ago, not really for a long time. I occasionally get a lottery ticket kind of thing. But I actively am like, I am never using your service because you have completely put me off of your company by you doing this. You can tell the exact people they're targeting with the weird AI nature of the ads.
Funny enough, I don't know if you saw this when it came out, but there was a really interesting video that, you know, Christopher Eccleston, the guy who used to play Doctor Who, and he's been in loads of other British films, he did a really interesting video where he was talking about his experience with gambling ads, and he was saying how at one point he got asked to come on and basically just read an advert for it, and he ended up walking out of it because the way they were writing the script and everything, they had a couple of changes here or there, and they were trying to get him to do Doctor Who references, which was really insidious. And the guy has some utter morals. Honestly, he is fantastic, because he turned around and he was like, well, no, I'm not going to say anything Doctor Who related because children watch that show. It would be very inappropriate for me to say that. And they do like a kind of funny skit at the beginning to reenact that, which culminates in him just walking out and leaving. But then he goes and talks to professionals that have been studying these kind of adverts. There was one guy, and it was really interesting, he was saying how they usually try to get working class actors like Danny Dyer, for example.
Yes.
Even stateside, they've got Chris Rock, where they want to show that, oh, this person, you know, is just like you, and
the everyman kind of guy.
Exactly. And I hate that stereotype. I really hate it because there's always something so insidious behind it, where it's like, I'm just like you, I'm going to do this thing that's dangerous, but it's okay because, I mean, if that person lost all that money, they could definitely earn it back. But some people, unfortunately, do go to dark places with this. It was honestly so fascinating. Again, I'm the exact same as you. I'm not really a betting person. I'll maybe buy a lottery ticket once in a blue moon, but that's the extent that I'll go. And that's the thing, though. It's like that completely changed the way I saw these types of adverts. And you're right, for these adverts to suddenly go, oh, let's try and add AI into the mix, and you're completely right, target specific people who are going to get pulled into this. It's honestly, it's just insidious, isn't it?
Yeah, one that I saw very frequently around kind of Christmas time. I can't remember the name of the company. It would be a North American specific betting company, but it was like a grandma. It was clearly like AI. You could tell the coloring around her outfit and that kind of thing. And she'd like open the oven to like, take out the Christmas turkey, but instead it'd be like, whoa! It'd like explode with like cash and amazing opportunities and that kind of stuff. And then her AI children and whatnot would come in, and she'd open up, you know how like waiters would open up that little dish of a tray, and then the same thing would happen for them. They were like, whoa! And it reminded me of like Mr. Sparkle. It was so gross, seedy. One of the big people that they target is older people people, particularly like lonely older folks that don't have as much going on, and so they kind of are able to target them with these betting ads. They often don't notice the AI nature of it. They think it's kind of a cute advert, and they are able to be tricked by it much easier than a younger adult.
Again, it is so depressing because even on YouTube as well, and I absolutely hate using YouTube without an ad blocker now because it's unusable sometimes where you're watching like a 5-minute video and then it's like, oh, a minute's over, we're going to put 2 ads, oh, then, it goes on. And usually they repeat the same ads, which is something they've been doing for ages, but there was a really weird one where there was a guy talking and I kept looking at him and I was like, what is wrong with your face? I was like, there's something not quite right with this guy. And then of course it was like, oh yes, I am an AI. And I was like, oh my God, they're even in the ads now. And the other one I keep getting, and I'm not going to name the company, but essentially it's like a AI company that builds an app for you or something. And I don't get why it keeps targeting me specifically because Chatsunami does not need an app. I mean, maybe in the future it does, but it'll be made by people, not, a computer. But, well, you know what I mean. But yeah, it's really weird. I don't like it. And as I said, I do think YouTube is particularly heinous for that they keep just pushing any advert as long as you can pay for it. It's the same with TikTok though, isn't it?
Is it? I don't usually use TikTok.
Honestly, I think I'm done with TikTok at times. The only reason I'm on is obviously because of the podcast and to promote, but every time I've gone on there to see, other than the odd funny video or labour of love, it honestly feels like QVC at times. You know that old shopping channel that they used to have where it was like they would sell things and that's all the programme was?
Yes.
It was like, oh, you have to phone in now and you get a free toaster, and you're like, yeah, they've just basically made an app for it. So it's like, yeah, you can buy this and that, and you're like, okay, cool beans. This is the future, guys. But yeah, sorry, that got dark really fast. On a happier note, I'm genuinely surprised at how much we've actually been watching over the past couple of weeks. There is a plethora of content. Actually, before we wrap up, did I mention that, and again, this isn't an ad, it honestly sounds like an ad read, but I swear it's not. But did you realise that HBO is finally coming to the UK?
Yes, I did know that, and actually that's how you can watch The Pitt.
Really?
Yeah, so once HBO finally comes, when I was looking up how my parents can watch it, it said that it will be on HBO once it comes to the UK later this year. I don't know exactly what date it's coming out. I think it's not too far away from now, but yeah, so having HBO will be interesting, and especially with the Paramount takeover, I'm curious how they're going to deal with that.
Yeah, that whole thing has been an omni-shambles. Because was that about Warner Brothers or something?
Yeah, because Warner Brothers owns HBO, and Paramount are going to be taking over Warner Brothers, so they'll be taking over all the Warner Brothers properties, including HBO.
Remember when it was just Netflix? I feel old for saying that, but remember it was just Netflix and that was it. It was like, yeah, that's your only streaming service, and now it's like, oh, great, we've got that, we've got Disney Plus, we've got Amazon Prime.
They've said that they're going to keep HBO separate from Paramount Plus, but I can't imagine that they will do that for indefinitely, because it doesn't make sense from a corporate standpoint of owning all that kind of IP and having it in 2 separate kind of platforms.
Well, on the other hand, it's 2 separate subscriptions.
Yeah, but I mean, you also then manage those 2 separate subscriptions, and I feel like it'd probably be easier for them to kind of bundle it.
Because I think up until that point, it's been funny seeing all the Americans, just be like, wait, the UK never had HBO? And it's like, nope. Unless you had Sky TV, or I think it's Now TV as well, had the rights for a lot of shows, like Game of Thrones especially, The Last of Us, and now they're all on HBO. All the Harry Potter films as well, because Warner Brothers, but they're of course there, and that's when the new TV show's coming out. And yeah, without getting too into that, did you see the trailer for that, for Harry Potter?
Oh no, I avoided it. I don't care.
Again, I'm not going to get too into it given the controversies around it, but it just looks depressing. It's like, it's so blue and it's so dark and everything, and you're like, are they making Game of Thrones for children? Because it feels like they just toned everything down.
So many of the decisions just doesn't really make sense as well. With the guy they're getting for Dumbledore, John Lithgow, he's like 80 now, and like Dumbledore's supposed to be old, but they're talking about this taking almost 12 years of production to have the entire thing out. John Lithgow might well live a long time, into his 90s or 100 or whatever, but It's quite a gamble. Nick Frost, I've kind of fallen out of interest in. I've liked him in some things, but he's just not done it for me in so many other kind of properties I've watched. So we watched the live action How to Train Your Dragon recently.
Oh, was he in that?
He's Gobber, Stoic's best friend, and he doesn't make any attempt to do a Scottish accent, which is probably for the best, but he just comes across so annoying. He just doesn't play the character well. Every time he's on screen, you're like, oh, I wish he wasn't. And like the film itself, despite what we expected, it was decent. It was an okay adaptation of the film. Still don't think it needed to be made, but it was okay. But he was probably the biggest detractor from that film. I was kind of skeptical about him being cast as Hagrid in Harry Potter, and if I do end up watching any of it, then I guess I'll see if he's any good at it, but I don't imagine so. I feel so terrible for these kids because they're going to get the kind of brunt of this.
Yeah.
They don't deserve that. They're new actors coming through. This is a great opportunity for them. The older actors, I have much more disappointment in because they know what they've signed themselves up for here, for something that is going to have a lot of controversy surrounding it, and they're on the wrong side of that. And I'm disappointed with so many of these actors, but know that the ones who are going to get the most kind of criticism will be the child actors, and so I'm hoping that's not the case. And if it's a good adaptation, that's nice, but...
Because as you said, just one last thing I want to touch on there, just what you were saying about it being a long production cycle for it, because I think this is just really a symptom of modern TV shows being made nowadays, that they take absolutely ages to come out, and then by the time the finale of said show comes out, people really just don't care, do they? Stranger Things, for example, I think I only got to like season 3, I want to say, of that, and I just didn't care because it just took so long to come out, and then I was like, oh right, yeah, running up that hill's number 1 because of this one scene. Oh great. And again, it's going to be the same for this show, that they're just going to be like, yeah, let's just keep churning it out. I don't even know if they're still making, thinking of another fantasy show, I don't even know if they're still making Rings of Power, are they?
Did that not conclude? I assumed that the story had concluded from that.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I didn't watch anything past episode 2 of season 1 of that show because I didn't care.
2.5 for me. Much like you and your wife, probably, my partner and I are massive Lord of the Rings fans. We actually enjoyed The Hobbit as well for what it was, and going into it we were just like, nah, this isn't for us. We tried 2 episodes and then it was like we were actually falling asleep, and not because we were tired that day. It was like genuinely, oh my god, this is so boring.
The thing I'm hearing coming out is for that Hunt for Gollum movie that they're going to be working on.
Yeah, did you hear the thing about Stephen Colbert as well? He's going to be writing a film, or I think it's him and his son.
I just heard there was his son. I don't know if is he also writing on it? I thought it was just his son was.
No, I think he's got input as well, because what I didn't know was he is a massive Lord of the Rings fan.
Oh yeah, he is. He's hugely into it.
I don't want to sound like a gatekeeper, but I genuinely thought when they said I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, I was like, yeah, sure, me too. But it was like when he was coming away with the deep lore stuff that even I didn't know, I was like, wow, okay, it's not just him saying, oh yeah, I'm a massive fan. It was genuinely from a place of love. The weird thing about that script, I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but it's like, I think they want to explore, you know, the period from when Sam, Frodo and the rest of them leave the Shire to, I want to say it's when they get to Rivendell. So it's like they want to explore, in fact, it might be even before that.
Are you talking about the Hunt for Gollum?
No, for this film.
For the other one, okay. I've not heard anything about that one. I know the Hunt for Gollum takes place in the kind of time period literally just before Lord of the Rings, the Frodo part, where Aragorn and Gandalf are trying to find Gollum before Sauron's spies do.
Yeah, because I genuinely don't know if these are going to be the same film or not. I heard about the Hunt for Gollum, and as you said, it's going to be set just before Lord of the Rings, but then all of a sudden this other film's been announced, and I don't know if it's going to be a series, but it's like, oh yeah, you remember that scene we cut out of Tom Bombadil? Yeah, he's getting a full movie, guys. And I'm like,
oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, let's go. Tom Bombadil.
I want a Tom Bombadil biopic.
To be honest, I genuinely wouldn't mind, see if they did, well, maybe I say it now, but if they did like a sequel trilogy trilogy thing, fair enough, I could understand.
I saw someone talking about that, how like we do not need that, and I agree. We don't need a sequel to Lord of the Rings. The whole thing with Lord of the Rings is how neatly tied up it is. If Sam's writing his own next story, then maybe. But even that, in the end of Lord of the Rings, to be honest, was a bit of an odd one, because like, is Sam going to write about his peaceful life with his family now? Because what adventure is he going to be going on other than that? Surely he wants to make sure his family is looked after. The whole thing, but like Frodo didn't have a family, Bilbo didn't have a family.
Well, they had each other, man. Come on.
They didn't at that time. Bilbo didn't have Frodo, and Frodo had just lost Bilbo because Bilbo peaced out.
Well, no, he went in the same boat as Bilbo, sure.
No, I mean the events of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of Lord of the Rings, neither of them had commitments.
I'm just laughing at the thought of Bilbo getting on, the boat at the end to be like, see you later, Frodo. This is what you get for stealing my ring.
What was Frodo's intention with you write the rest?
I love that. It's just like, you write the rest, Sam. But there's no pages in this, Mr. Frodo. You've not written anything. It's like, yes, I'm a procrastinator. Sue me.
Bye! You got to the boat.
I can't hear you.
The editor already gave me my fans. Bye!
Do you know what I'm scared of, though? Seeing as Amazon, I'm sure, have the rights to the Lord of the Rings films. What I'm worried about is if they decide to do like a sitcom or something with Sam and his family. Sam was just an ordinary hobbit. Uh-oh.
Merry and Pippin walk in the side and the audience go like, woo!
To be fair, I would as well. I'd be like, woo! Finally, some good characters in here. Oh, yeah. My nightmares aside, hopefully it is a good film. The new ones, I mean, hopefully they're good, but again, it is far too early because they've literally only just announced them, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, Hunt for Golem's been in talks in the works for quite some time. I think Andy Serkis is helming that one.
Yeah, he's directing it, isn't he?
Yeah, from what I understand.
I don't know how much you can get out of Gollum now. They made that terrible game of him. Leave the poor guy alone.
That was such a shame, because that game had so much promise to it. I didn't play it, but I just heard terrible things about it, and it was like one of the worst games of the year. It seemed like it was going to be such an interesting stealth game.
Definitely bombed right off the bat, because I remember my friend Dan from Gaming Views was like, Satsu, I've got a question. Should I review this for my show? And I was like, yeah. I haven't played it either, but I have seen the extensive videos just tearing it apart, and it's not one of these things where it's like, oh, gaming's subjective and you can get some joy out of it. It's like, no, this is grade ass. This is terrible. Don't play it. And you're completely right. We haven't really had a good Lord of the Rings game in a while. I think the last good Lord of the Rings game was those, is it Shadow of Mordor, I want to say? The ones with the Nemesis system that we're not allowed to use anymore because Warner Brothers copyrighted it, and now other games can't use that same system. Thanks, Warner Brothers. Very cool.
Very cool.
You know what game I missed, though? See the Return of the King one. We should really do an episode on that sometime.
Yeah, that was good fun. I played that on the GameCube and also
Yeah.
my friend's original Xbox. That was good times. We should also look at doing an episode for, because the new Spider-Man film comes out in, I think, July.
Mid-July, I want to say.
Yeah, I think maybe July 31st, to be honest. But maybe we should look at doing a Marvel month in anticipation of that.
That is actually a fair shout.
Yeah, either in like May or June or in July itself.
Yeah, I'm going to add that to the list. I mean, this is a massive year for, see, anniversaries. Sonic, for example, that's 35. Mario is 40.
Zelda's 40.
Yeah, no one cared about that one. No, I'm joking.
I want to get you. I know where you live.
Don't blame me, blame Nintendo. That actually really surprised me when Nintendo were like, oh look, we've got the Mario film. Oh, we've got Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red. Hi Zelda, why are you here?
You get a vinyl.
Was that all they got?
They've announced that they're going to do a vinyl of the music from the games. That was the 40th stuff so far. There may well be a direct that happens later in the year where they announce something cool that's going to come out. But I think in all likelihood, we're not going to get much.
As of this episode, they haven't announced anything. Hopefully they do, or I don't know, even if it's like a commemorative dish towel or something. So I'll give you a buzz. If we ever do like a Zelda month, obviously you are number one on that list.
I better be.
I genuinely genuinely think you would beat me up in real life if I did that.
If it came out Friday and I saw an episode that came out and it was Zelda and I was not on, I might book a flight and come punch you in the face.
Or punch me in the back of the head like Lenny. Because it's a bit like if I said, hey Andrew, do you want to do a Godzilla month? And then, you know, he had the furious stomping of Martin McAllister kicking down my door as it says that.
Imagine if Martin and I did a Sonic episode you weren't aware of.
Well, there's still time. I mean, you did the Princess Mononoke episode, although then again, I'm not a big Princess Mononoke fan. It's a good film, that's all I'll say. But yeah, no, go for it. I dare you.
Try me. I will cut you from the show.
Yeah. For legal reasons from the show, yeah. I'm getting really weird looks from my red panda lawyer over in the corner. But no, yeah, we should definitely look into that though for a Marvel month and whatnot. And yeah, honestly, I was saying this to Martin as well. I cannot believe that we are over halfway through this season.
Speaking of anniversaries, it will be the 5-year anniversary of Chatsunami that we'll be celebrating this year.
6-year anniversary.
God damn it.
Did you not hear my episode in China?
I forgot that was the 5-year anniversary.
In all seriousness, it's absolutely wild that it is going to be 6 years because I feel as if we've just blinked and this whole decade has just gone by. And, you know, usually I've said that in the past, like, haha, isn't it funny? You know, oh, you blink and it's gone. But genuinely, I do not know where this decade's gone. I feel as if it's just absolutely raced by. I feel as if by the time we get to Zelda month, your son will probably be on, just like able to talk, able to play all the Zelda games before me. And it's like, yeah, 2050 Zelda month. That's our time. For legal reasons, I am, of course, joking. We will definitely try and get a Zelda month before then. But it's going to be fun to see what we actually get up to in that time. But before you or Martin beat me up, Andrew, thank you so much once again for, coming into the cafe, having a PNG beverage of choice. And yeah, no, jokes aside, thank you for coming on and chatting away.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invite to come on and chance to sort of chat on all kind of plethora of topics. It's nice having Chatsu Cafe where we can divert topics at will and it not infuriate the masses, you know.
So for all the, what was it, the Invincible fans, the Pitt fans.
Big crossover in those.
Yeah, we talked about AI, gambling. In all seriousness, I do love these types of episodes because Chatsu Cafe is literally just a format for us just to be able to chat. Well, I was going to say jokingly chat a bunch of rubbish, but I mean me more so chatting a bunch of rubbish, just being like, yeah, let's chat about XYZ, what's been going on. And yeah, it's honestly a blast every time to do. So if you want to listen to more episodes with both myself and Andrew, then of course you can listen to us on our website, chatsunami.com, as well as all good podcast apps. I also want to thank our amazing Pandalorian patrons, Robotic Battle Toaster, Ghostie, and Cryptic 1991. Thank you so much for supporting the show. But if you would also like to listen to early access episodes, bonus content, bloopers, commentary tracks, as well as Andrew and I's true feelings about AI, for legal reasons that last one's a joke, then of course you can check us out at our Patreon page, patreon.com/Chatsunami. This podcast is a proud member of the Podpack Collective. For more information, check us out at our Twitter/X page at Podpack Collect. Until next time, thank you all so much for joining us once again in the Chatsu Cafe. Stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay hydrated.